For almost 40 years, an incredible phenomena has been occurring in a remote village of Bosnia-Herzegovina, which may contain secrets that could change life as we know it. After hearing of a number of miracles from first-hand witnesses, I wonder if this could be a giant wake-up call for humanity. Considering once these secrets are revealed, it could be too late, this just might be worth taking a look into. I'm Shannon Gieselman, and since the day I discovered this place called Medjugorje, I haven't been able to take my mind off of it. Why doesn't everyone know about it? Well, join me as I bring real-life stories of miracles of Medjugorje and why this is a modern-day case for grace. Hello, everyone. I hope this broadcast finds you well, especially considering the circumstances of the day. I am now speaking real time on this day after Easter, where we have all been living a new reality for the last month. Our world is essentially closed for business as I speak. And I just can't even believe I'm saying this, but it's true. This virus crisis has single-handedly turned our world upside down. And if it hasn't already caused you to pause and take a deep look at your priorities and stretch your faith, I suggest you do that, because there's no way any one of us is coming out of this unaffected. I also want to point out that on the brink of this pandemic, I was just hours away from hopping on a plane to Medjugorje when President Trump issued this European travel ban. Sadly, I never made it out for Mirella's March 18th apparition, which was promised to her by Our Lady for the rest of her life. What wasn't promised to her was the second of the month apparitions, which were only meant to be a temporary means of sending messages to the world. While these have lasted for over 20 years, the Blessed Mother informed her just last month on March 18th she will no longer be coming monthly. Mirella isolated herself and cried for days with this new revelation. So now I can't help but think we're just one step closer to the secrets being revealed as she begins this process of weaning us off the messages. I know I haven't gone into too much detail yet, but as soon as the remaining 3 visionaries have the 10th secret revealed to them, Mary will stop appearing and the secrets will begin to unfold. I'll be going into further depth on the secrets at a later date, but for now, I think we should all just take inventory of how major this is and to be prudent with our actions and stay strong in prayer. Meanwhile, I hope to continue to bring inspiration of hope and faith through sharing the miracles of Medjugorje. And now I would like to release the second half of Mirella's testimony. All right, welcome back to Miracles of Medjugorje, a case for grace. I'm Shannon Gieselman here with Mirella Neverate, and we left off last time. We were talking about, we did this a 2-part segment because it's kind of like a longer one. And the second part that we come back here to do right now is a very special moment where Mirella was in the presence of the apparition that appeared to Mirella, who is one of the visionaries there, and she witnessed her own special experience, and I'm going to let her detail all that for you. All right, so let's just take it from on your climb on up the hill.
All right. Well, so Monday, March 18th is the annual apparition of Mary to Mariana that was promised to Mariana. She also appears every second of the month to her, but there's something special about this date. And when she first told Mariana thought it was because it was her birthday, because Mariana's birthday is actually March 18th, but Mary told her that it wasn't, that there is significance to that date, but no one knows, or I don't know if Mariana knows, but you know,
the whole world will come to know the significance.
Yes, there's definitely something that special about that date, and well, it's definitely special for me now because I actually had a wonderful experience. So you know, basically that day, you know, I woke up very early. I couldn't sleep, and I started praying. And something that I haven't shared much with anyone was that morning when I was praying, I remember Mariana and her, you know, she kept telling us when she would talk to us, pray for me, pray for me. And so that morning, I got up and I was praying and talking to God and talking to Mary. And I asked Mary, I prayed for Mariana because, I had heard that, usually after the apparitions, she gets pretty sick. So, she actually suffers a lot. She's got some, I think, back problems or knee problems. I don't know too much, honestly, but she definitely suffers also because Mary, she, you know, when Mary leaves, aside from the physical, it's the emotional piece. I think that's also draining on her. And so I prayed for her that she wouldn't feel so sick, and I asked Mary to allow me to pick up some of her suffering. So I prayed that that I would basically share in her suffering. And I don't know, it's hard to talk about that. And honestly, I can't believe I even said it. But because I mean, I think if you do
I think
something,
it's a natural human instinct, let me take on, like, just help her. And it
yeah,
feels
I
like,
think
I know.
yeah. But you don't want to share, if you do something nice for someone or whatever. But anyways,
It's in your heart. Yeah.
yeah. So that was that, and then I I bumped into a friend who basically was discerning to become a priest, and he was really excited about going. We were supposed to leave a little later with a group of us, but he was really excited about going. And I after trying to persuade him to wait for the group, I just kind of gave in. I was like, okay, fine, let's go. And this is like, I don't know, 5:15, 5:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
and the apparition.
Some people actually stay the night. Some people actually sleep out on the hard rocks all night.
Yes, yes. But usually that's for morning apparitions, I think. But
Oh,
because ours was in the afternoon, I think, yeah. So I guess we were lucky. So anyhow, sure enough, I dropped off my intentions that I had for other people. There's a huge basket that Mariana has in her by in this living room area in her pension, and they take that basket the day of the apparitions, and or the apparition. So I dropped it off, and we just went off on our merry way. We got there. Um, they close off an area. If you haven't been there, they close off an area where Mariana and the select few get to, stay, which is sick people, usually priests, and it's there's a reason why people are there and they're given priority, but usually that's the reason. And so we actually, where we ended up was kind of catty corner of where Blue Cross is, which is where she kneels down and waits for Mary. So the day went by. We were praying the rosary. There was singing, people, we were chatting, cracking jokes. I mean, it was just a beautiful combination of a lot of things. And when the priest got there and we all started praying the rosary collectively, we started to hear what they call screamers. So there's people that go there and, they have something, something, an evil spirit. Some people would call them possessed. I mean, I'm not an expert, so I try to, be careful with my opinion. But yeah, they started to flare out. There was 3 of them that I heard, and that was scary. I mean, you watch, well, not anymore, but I mean, who hasn't seen The Exorcist? And I mean, there's just, you think that's as bad as it gets, but I don't know. At least for me, it was just really, really scary. So, I definitely started praying intensely internally, and calling on Jesus, and Saint Michael, the archangel, and Mary for their protection, and the angels. And so that was that. And
And this is all building up to
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
crescendos and
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, you know, people start to say, Mariana's coming, Mariana's coming. She's super, super sweet and adorable. And honestly, that lady is just, she's just wonderful. And she's wearing this blue coat. And I've seen it in other videos. And so you can't miss her. And she's coming up. And of course, people, you know, they're excited to see her. So they touch her. And, you know, everyone's happy because, you know, in seeing Mariana, you're like, it's getting closer to our Blessed Mother coming. And that's ultimately what we're all excited about. And I started to record, you know, record her come in and kind of the surroundings. And I was like, okay, Maria, I got to put my phone away because for me, it wasn't a show. And it always broke my heart that, I mean, it's human nature. We're all curious at heart. But, you know, I just feel like it becomes a spectacle. I think it, you know, there needs to be more respect, and we need to venerate the moment more. And at least that's how I feel. So
would it be weird if I go with my GoPro?
You know what's funny?
Because I want to be in the moment, but I don't want to miss any. GoPro?
You are funny because I thought about doing that this time around. But I think I was just being silly. No, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I'm just telling you how I felt. I love it.
And I said what you felt, okay? Yeah.
It's a great idea, I think. And I crack jokes about it too. So, I mean, you saying it is just, well, let's talk about it later. How's that?
Okay.
For research purposes.
Mm-hmm.
No. So I remember putting my phone away and I'm like, okay, I'm embracing this moment. And I just wanted to just be there while Mary's appearing to Mariana and pray and talk to her. I mean, I know it was going to be one-sided, but, you know, but I knew she was there. Like, I mean, I always believe she's around, but this is a little different. I mean, there's someone having a conversation and she's saying, no, she's here. So, you know, obviously that's exciting. So I put my phone away and I turned to my friend. I'm actually the one that was discerning to be a priest, and he's still recording. And I look over and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to put my phone away because I don't want to record. It's such a special time. It's so sacred and holy. And like, I just feel weird doing it. And he kind of looks at me like, okay, whatever. Your choice. So no, super sweet. But he did, I think, give me a funny side look. So I put my phone away and I'm in the moment and I'm like, oh, wow, you know, she's on her way to kneel down and so forth. And then I felt this like, this need, this calling again, this urgent anxiety. Like, you know that feeling you get when you're gonna go on a trip and you're running late to the airport because you might miss your flight? It's kind of like that, you know, times whatever else. That's how I can better explain the feeling that I get when it comes to that. Wow. And so it was like I was going back and forth with myself, you know, no, you know, this is special, Maria. You came here because, you know, X, Y, and Z. This is not a show. And then at the same time, I'm like, oh my goodness, I just told him. And then here I am pulling my phone out. I'm like, I'm going to, you know, sound like a crazy person. So I still, till this day, I don't know how I pulled out my phone and started recording. But I remember it was really fast. And I started recording. And just like that, I felt that I needed to look up in the sky. And I felt her. I felt that feeling, that emotion. It's this you want to cry, like you want to cry, and you feel joy at the same time, and that excitement and this anxiety at the same time. And I just that's when you see in the video that I focus it on that shortly after I start recording, because I think that's why that urgency, because she was coming. And so I'm recording. As I'm recording, I'm seeing things, but I'm not sure if anyone else was. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't going to be the person, look at this, as Marisol, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like to feed things into a person, so I'm sorry, I feel like I'm reliving it, because that's the angle that I was at. But I just started to feel all this, and I started to see light and the clouds parting. And keep in mind, that day was cloudy, it was rainy, no sun. So, okay, keep that in mind. And here's this little section that is opening up, and there's this light. It looks like if it's the sun, but you know it's not the sun. And then the buildup, yeah, and I think you can hear it. Like, it's like I couldn't cry, and I was trying to contain it. And I just so many things I felt and saw, and but long story short, then she appeared.
And there was pain, and you sensed like you're nauseous and weak, yes, and pain, and yet ecstasy all, yes, at the same time.
So it was like different parts. It was a long time. And there was like different parts in the whole process of it. So that initial part, when she first appeared, it was the feeling. It was that overwhelming love. And yes, I started to feel physically sick, shaking. I felt my heart was going to pop out of my chest. I felt like this energy, this warmth. And then I also felt this wind, this powerful wind. See, we were all standing up. So there was this wind, and I felt it was going to just push me out. Like I was literally going to blow back. So my instant reaction was to grab onto the people around me, because I thought I was going to fall back. And so I'm almost like fighting against it and trying to hold it together. My head starts hurting, and honestly, it's so much I don't even. And
you dropped to your knees.
Yes, it pushed me down to what it wanted, and it kind of, like, I understood it after it happened. It wanted me to be on my knees before I saw that light close up. See, because what I was seeing was, at that point, was this light and mist and kind of cloudy, but like that golden, and then the pink, but then the shapes, but transparent shapes at the same time. It was so weird. I'm telling you, it's so hard to put into, because at the same time, it was more. Mm-hmm. The point is that during this time, it was a little more, it kind of was a little more clear, and I felt all this love for Mary, and inside I was like, I love you, Mother. I love you, Mother. And but I was holding it together. Like I didn't want to yell, because what was going through my head too is, I was trying to be considerate, right? Because it was Mariana's, time with Mary, and Mary was appearing to Mariana, and here I'm making a spectacle, and I'm just like, oh no, Jesus! Like, I'm like, I don't want anyone to look at me. I just wanted to be quiet, and I was fighting so hard to be quiet. And you know what? She wanted me to yell out how much I loved her. She literally, like, I felt, and it just came out. Mm-hmm. Like the words were pulled out of me. Like I just could not hold it anymore. And I just yelled. And even as I'm yelling how much I love her and all this, I held back. Like I said it, and now it's like I needed to be quiet, because I I wanted more, but, and I don't know, maybe I think she understood why I was trying to hold it together, that I wasn't thinking about me so much, but it was about disturbing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everyone. And people were praying. And, and so, I'm finally on my knees after I said, I love you. And, you know, I looked up, and she's literally right in front of me with that big orb. And I can see the orb. Excuse me, there was something like inside of it, like figure, but because of the light, it was hard to see exactly what. And, you know, this light was incredibly, and keep in mind, I'm giving you little pieces here and there because, as I'm really, I physically start to feel things when I tell the story, and maybe that's why I can't completely but I'm getting hot. But this light was blinding. I felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah.
It was that powerful. I felt like I was going to die, and I wanted to look at it, and my eyes could not handle it. But it was weird. It wasn't like the sun handle. It was a different kind of handle. Like my human form cannot withstand that kind of intensity. And at the same time, I felt like it wanted me to look up. So I felt this pressure to look up, but I kept going down because I just couldn't, because again, it made me feel sicker, like in terms of like,
inadequate or something.
Yes, I felt that too, like almost like, my gosh, I'm in such holy presence, and like, I don't deserve this. But at the same time, I wanted to, but it was too powerful. It was too powerful. And so after that, it was more of a, like the silhouette of her, like, like golden and the pinkish hue, and everything was like a mist, and just, and then, the weirdest thing, and you see it in the video, I'm telling you, all these stages, then at some point, like, I just felt like these flashes of bright power light, like, I don't know if in the video you remember that it's dark and then suddenly you see like light kind of, well, that, I mean, I can't really explain it. It's all this happened within this time, and then some, but I just can't articulate.
And it's great that you're giving us this preface, because I think when you describe what you're going through, and then you go and then look at the video, you catch more about it. Because when I first looked at the video, it's like, oh, well, I see a flash of light. This is a weird little spot on the camera that's making a light. Is that a lens reflection? What is that? No, it's the orb of a heavenly body is in that picture, and you can totally see it's not normal. It is not normal. And then you also described how it went black. Like so what you experienced was not exactly what the camera picked up on, but when it went black, it was definitely much. Yeah. So it's very interesting. It's more than you realize.
It picked up enough for people to see that something happened. Mm-hmm. Because I've looked at videos, because keep in mind, I literally missed Mariana, and I missed Mary's apparition to Mariana, because I had my own experience. So, I had, people literally had to tell me what happened, because I was on my own little planet there. Like, so I now, after, a while being back here, I'm looking at YouTube videos of when they actually, recorded, because they record all her messages, the apparition. So, there's no light, looks normal. People recorded during that same time. Nothing came up, no light, nothing. I mean, honestly, it was like if nothing happened. But what I was touching and holding picked up.
Hmm.
So that was very, very interesting. And I think it has to do with the fact that at some point, all these little videos, they were going to mean something. And, you know, I knew that I had to share the video on a larger scale, but I really didn't want to.
It's private, I know.
I didn't want to, but I knew that that wasn't my decision. So, but I also knew that when it was time to share, I would know, and that did happen. And so I kept on getting little signs, and then finally, what did me over was there was a July 2nd message of Mariana. So that message that I put in the video when my description, I was describing it, that message, you know, I was like, okay, Mary's telling me now you need to do it, because it said, you know, I have given you and continue giving you signs. So that video was a sign that she's there. I'm a normal pilgrim, not a visionary. And she appeared, and, you know, and it's crazy because I think it was like in June, you know, March I was there, and then in June I was at a retreat, and one of my friends, I was showing her the video of what had happened, and you know that part where they say silencio. I didn't know that meant that was when Mary was appearing to Mariana, that's when Mary appears. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah. She's like, when they say silencio, that means that Mariana's talking to her. She's appearing to Mariana. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, but I thought we were like seeing the same thing. Like, I mean, I don't know, this is 6-7 minutes into my video. I'm like, what do you mean we weren't seeing the same thing? And she's like, no, Mariah. She goes, she came to you first. And I was like, oh, it was like reliving all over again. And, you know, like, how can this be? Like, how can this be that I, you know, like, you know, I don't know. It's just, and I read in a book, you know, it made me laugh. The last apparition with Wayne, is it Wibble? Bible. I can never pronounce his last name, but about the visionaries, like why did she pick the visionaries, or why does she pick people at all? And I just started laughing because, you know, Mary said, I don't always pick the best people. And I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. So, you know, it just felt good, I guess.
Well, I am just overjoyed that you did come to the conclusion to share it with everyone, because I think that's kind of how we have a story and what led me to you, and here we are. And so for our listeners, we'll go ahead and we'll put that under our show notes. So we'll have a link to the YouTube video so that you can watch it for yourself. But before we sign off, I do want to ask you, did you have anything else to add? That's pretty much the apparition part of it. And then after it was all done?
You know, after she appeared to Mariana, I still saw the light. But what ended up happening is that my energy was like almost zero. I felt super drained. And I remember feeling very self-conscious. Like I was wearing, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of that now.
Parka.
Yeah, and I actually covered my head with it because I didn't want anyone to look at me, and I did not want to see anyone. I didn't want any attention whatsoever. But even as this is happening, I still feel like I see all the light around me and above me, and I know she's there, but I'm just, you know, I just kind of like I'm nothing type of feeling.
Right.
I'm not important. I don't want people to think that I'm special in any way, kind of thing. And whether that was true or not, you know, that's how I felt. So, I heard, remember I told you about the 3 screamers?
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so I heard 2 just kind of like, almost like if they were taken away, like, you know, like this like last scream of like despair. And then it's like if they were sucked into something. And in the video, you hear one yell, and that was the third one. But the other two I heard with my ears, but they weren't picked up by the audio. Only one was, but I it was weird, but I heard it so vividly. And I asked around if they had heard it, and no one had heard anything. And so I was wearing, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. I was wearing earrings, and they have screwbacks.
Right.
And remember, I told you about that wind and energy, and it's hard to explain what it feels like. Well, it was so intense that it popped my earring off.
Screwbacks, which are hard to get off. You have to physically screw.
It take a while to unscrew them.
Yeah.
So, the fact that it popped off was like mind blowing to me. And so, once everyone started leaving, I just remember hearing everyone talk, and I remember feeling upset because I felt like people didn't truly understand what had just happened. And they were kind of like, okay, it's over. You're talking about normal things, nothing bad, by the way. But I was in such a heightened state that I just, I just remember like just feeling at the same time sorry, for them. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard. And then I just felt pretty sick. I literally bolted to my room. There is a little walk away, and I went there, and I stayed, but for a while, and yeah, it's
You had a rough re-entry back to reality.
Yeah, I felt nauseous, very nauseous. My head, it was just it's weird. Like, it took a lot of energy out of me. And yeah, but I even though I didn't feel all that great, I made it out to 6 o'clock mass. Like, I felt the need, I needed to go to mass. And then I told the girls, Marisol and my friend Melissa, I said, hey, I want to go to mass, but I need to come back. And then we just came back, and we hung out. And it actually happened that night there were Sean and Samela and Jesse were doing the screening for us, where there is darkness, and they were super excited because they had just like, they just brought it out and what have you. But I ended up not going to it because I just didn't feel great. I didn't want to be around people. I don't know, it's just a weird feeling. I don't love being around people, but yeah. So then the next day I came back home.
Okay, so having gone through all these incredible experiences, how does it impact your life now? How does it affect the way you live your life now? Like, what's the fruits from your trip of Medjugorje?
Wow, I have like a lot of love and peace in my heart. I mean, there's obviously, life happens, sometimes like I just feel like I go through this like prayer dryness, like I don't, I get lazy or whatever, but really what I took from it and how it changed is the fact that I left with a lot of love and peace. And then now it's like I just feel like I don't focus or dwell on petty things. Like I just, obviously you're always going to encounter people that, make you scratch your head, but like I just, there's just so much love from God, and that it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. So that's kind of what I took in my prayer life. Obviously, even though there's those spells of dryness, whatever, but it just has increased so much in discernment, I would say, and just really focusing more on paying attention to what God wants.
Yeah. Looking out, you keep your eyes more open, you're more sensitive to signs, or what most people would write off as a coincidence, maybe, like you look for it, right?
Yeah. So this I've only shared with my close friends that I made in Medjugorje, but I actually have seen the miracle of the sun here at home.
Oh.
And I was seeing things before I went to Medjugorje, but then, and you don't like to, I don't like to talk about things because first of all, I mean, you know, they're private, but I also think that, I wouldn't want someone to have the wrong impression and think that, I mean, I, can do X, Y, and Z or whatever. So I just try not to, but I have felt Mary here. Yeah, so I mean, there's more to that. Maybe that'll be another segment, but
Sure.
I need to get permission from my spiritual father, and then it's just a lovely priest, and he's definitely, he's got gifts, and that. Anyways, but yeah, but in the spirit of trying to be honest and share and not sound like a lunatic. Yes, I feel like something was heightened, and I don't know what for, I guess. And I think that comes with time, and if you're doing the right things, then it'll become something. But um, only God knows. And oh,
Yeah.
maybe he just feels like I need some consolation. I don't know. Maybe he feels sorry for me, and wants me to see me. I don't know. But
Yeah. So if you ran into someone who questioned your experiences, I mean, not that we even have to validate them, but what would you say to someone who just was curious and wants to know really if you think that this is an authentic, that what's going on in Medjugorje is an authentic thing?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, and I think people should. I think people should question um, things, because with the good comes the bad, and there's people that like to piggyback off of these things for whatever purposes they have. And the sad thing about it is that it discredits what's real, because when the fraud comes out, then people are like, oh, they categorize everything as the same. So that's what I feel bad about. But because there are things like that do happen, I think that we have the responsibility to look into it and question and kind of form your own opinion based on your own research and becoming informed, on the matter, and giving it time, because it's very true. Something that's coming from God, you see the fruits of it. You see the positive that comes out of it, just like in Medjugorje, and anywhere where there's been Marian apparitions. So that's what I would tell them. Well, in this given place, what has come out of it? Mayhem, or people actually becoming better people, better human beings to their neighbors, becoming more faithful? Are they doing the things that the Bible tells us to do? And if your answer is yes, then chances are it's coming from heaven. It's in the Bible. And I mean, it tells us in the Bible that, you see, that's how you validate it, if it's a good spirit or a bad spirit. It's the fruits of that it gives, good fruits. It's what is it? The tree cannot, good tree cannot give bad fruit.
Exactly. Yep.
And vice versa. So I would tell them that, but mainly to open their heart to Jesus and invite him in. He gave us free will, so we can't expect for him to show up if we don't invite him in. And so that's very important. You don't have to. I know a lot of people get intimidated, because especially with us Catholics, because we have so many prayers for everything, but you don't have to be religious. God is your friend. Jesus is your friend. And even though we need to respect him and show reverence, he loves us so much that he died for us. So we need to talk to him like you and I are talking. It starts as simple as that. And through that, he will start to come in, and he will grow, and your faith will grow. You will become a better human being, because now you are having Christ in your life. He's giving you all that goodness. So that's what I would tell tell people, and read the Bible, because I think a lot of the problems around this world is that, people are not informed.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really understand, um, like for us that we're Christian, the teachings of Jesus Christ and what he expects from us. Um, so, I it's also a good way to get to know him. And if you're doing what he asked you to do, then that also invites him in to stay.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's
He always meets us where we're at.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it's very wise. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that was another packed-filled episode, if you will, segment that we had. I'm so thrilled that we got to listen to your story. Thank you. And maybe it sounds like we'll have part 3 at some time.
Yes, but I think I'm going to be interviewing you.
Oh, right. Because it's my turn. I get to go. Countdown is on. 3 months, almost less than that. In fact, I think our deposit's due today. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I had literally just sent Carlos an email, but yeah, you're right.
So on that note,
Yeah.
if anyone else out there too, I want to say, if hearing these stories, the story that Mirella had, inspires you, and you have your own story, someone who has a story, I would more than be willing to talk to them, and I just drop me a line. I'm at shannon.gieselman@yahoo.com. I don't have a website set up yet. I'm on Instagram. I just started that, but I'll be opening up more channels of communication. But yeah, this is a platform for all of us to share our miracles of Medjugorje, and so see where it takes us. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best, and God bless you. Until next time.